planner, we've got PT tutorials, CCL tutorials, we've got Get By Policy, and we also have Aussizz. So just to give you a brief information, if you want that extra scores about PTE, you want that extra 5 points for NATI, and you want to know about different courses or different occupations, what skill level they are, we have a lot of resources which you can use to proper plan your PR pathway. So let's get started. So today we will just briefly be talking about a couple of trade courses. If you do have any questions about a particular course or particular PR pathway for yourself, you can always just leave us a message. We'll try to answer all these questions during the session or maybe at the end of the session when we have time. So just to introduce myself, my name is Navjot Singh Kharoud. I am a registered migration agent. You'll see my MARA number 1805018. I have been migration agent for over 5-6 years, and I've been with Aussizz for over 3 years. And we have our education consultant with us. Thank you for joining. Her name is Ananya Arora. So if you have any questions about your education studies, which course is the right pathway for you, you can also direct the questions to her. She will be more than happy to help you. So if we want to get started, Ananya, so I'll ask you, a lot of people want to do trade courses, right? They come from their country. They want maybe they like the building and construction. So for us to get started, what are a couple of courses that you can recommend? When a student asks you that question.
Okay, so there are a lot of trade courses that they can do. The first thing that we have to check is it should be tradecourses registered, and then we are good to go. So basically, we'll be discussing about a lot of trade courses today. We have carpentry, fabrication, commercial cookery, painting, and a lot other trade courses. So I'll start with carpentry. To start the course, we basically have to complete a 2-year qualification, which could either be a Certificate 3 in carpentry, or it can be a package course in Cert 3 and a diploma leading to building and construction. So it's basically a 2-year course where you'll attend classes twice a week, which could include practical and theory both. The fee structure is very affordable. It's around $20,000 to $25,000, and the colleges are all over Victoria and all over Australia.
Yeah, that's. What about normal intake? So let's say I want to start the course next month.
Yeah.
Is it something like we can do?
They basically have intakes almost every month. So you're good to go whenever you decide. You can probably get the same month or the next month intake.
Interesting. Okay, so in terms of Certificate 3 or in carpentry or building and construction, I get a lot of questions about students who either want to study this course or who are already studying it. They're unsure about their visa pathways, right? So for me to just elaborate in brief, of course I will be talking about what are the different skill assessment authorities, what are the different programs offered by the skill assessment authorities, and what are generally the PR pathway, which visas can you aim for after you finishing this course. So just to kind of touch, once you have finished the course, you need to make sure that you have studied minimum 16 calendar months in Australia. And also the crack course, as Ananya mentioned at the start, needs to be at least 92 weeks of registered study. So this is where you're meeting your Australian study requirement, and from there onwards you would be eligible for a subclass 485 visa. Now, for you to be eligible for subclass 485 visa, you also need a provisional skill assessment. I'm sure you get this question a lot. What is the assessment? Do we need 360 hours?
And when is the right time to start those hours?
Yeah, that's right. So there's a lot of confusion around this area. I will, of course, give you more detail during our session goes, but if you do have any question about yourself, please leave us a message. We'll try to help you with that as well. So once you have finished the course, depending on what you have studied, you can apply for a provisional skill assessment. Now, provisional skill assessment is the first step to start your job ready program. It's also a very important step for you to apply for a 485 visa as well. So the 485 graduate stream is the right visa for you. At the moment, you will be getting this visa for 1.5 year. One of the main requirements are, of course, completing this course and also getting a provisional skill assessment from a TRA. So TRA is our assessing authority all over trade occupations. They are the one who will be looking after this step for you. Normally what you need is you need a minimum of the qualification that is required for that occupation. So for example, a carpenter would require minimum of certificate 3 in carpentry. Once you have finished this course, you would apply to TRA to get that provisional assessment, which would include your passport, visa copy details, would require your completion letter and the transcripts that you have studied. Once you do that, you apply to provisional assessment, then you would be eligible to apply for a 485 visa. I want to stress about this in a more detail. Reason for that is there was a period during COVID last year where this assessment or this part of the process was not mandatory anymore. So a lot of people may still have that in their mindset that provisional skill assessment may not be required. I really want to stress on this important part that if you're applying for this 485 visa, make sure you do get your provisional skill assessment as soon as possible, because overall processing time of this process also takes about 3 to 4 months. Not saying that you need the assessment to be approved for you to apply, but this step is very important, so you need to apply that before you apply for a 485 visa. Now, once you finish this course, finish the assessment part, you have applied for your 485 visa, what are the next steps that you need to do? I will cover this part in our next next session, in the sense that in next 5 to 10 minutes. But before that, just to kind of give you a brief idea, we will be talking about the next steps, which would mean the job ready program. What are the other assessment pathways, whether you can do a job ready program or whether you can't do a job ready program. Are there any other programs which may be available for you? And in terms of the visa situation, the visas, mostly of these trade occupations are in the medium to long term list. So you would be eligible for a subclass 189 visa, subclass 190 state sponsored, and a subclass 491 regional sponsored as well. Apart from this, you may also be eligible for employer sponsorship visas, which we'll get into detail later on. So Ananya, tell me, okay, we've talked about carpentry. Let's say that I want to do something else. What would be the other sort of courses that might be available?
So there are still a lot of them. They can even do painting, which is, we have to do Cert 3 in painting and decorating. And it's also a 2-year course, because it should be 2 years at least to be eligible for the TR, as Navjot already discussed. So it's also similar to carpentry. It also, the fees would range around 18,000 to 22,000. And there are colleges all over Australia as well. And it's quite a good course, and a lot of people come inquiring about this course, so they would love more information on the PR pathway for that one as well. So that's right. A lot of people are going into sort of these construction jobs or trade jobs. Main reason is, of course, the housing market has been booming in past couple of years. A lot of houses being built around different areas of Victoria, or even I would say all over Australia. So there's a lot of demand in these sort of occupations. One thing you can do is, of course, let's say that you finish your certificate 3. Again, the same steps: provisional assessment and your 485 visa. Now, I get a lot of questions about when should I start my work experience as well, so I'll kind of touch on that as well. Now, you can of course study during your study. Of course work during your study. There is no one stopping you. You should get into your employment as soon as possible. In terms of whether or not it will benefit you during your study or not, this is a separate question, so I'll elaborate on that part as well. But before I do that,
let's talk about the 485. Once you have your 485 visa, that's when your job ready program starts. Job ready program has then left 3 steps. In the second step would be your job ready employment. Now, because you have your 485 visa only for 1.5 years, it's very important to have that job already be there when you're either applying for a 485 or when you're holding the 485. So your time clock sort of kicks in when your 485 starts. So this takes back to our original question, that when should I start work, right? So answer to that question would be as soon as possible, right? And then, yeah, so when you apply for your second step, you start with the job ready employment. With job ready employment, when you're applying for it, you'll provide your visa copy. Make sure that you have an employer as well who can do the employer verification report for you. You provide your pay slips. At this time, you can also claim back 3 months of your employment as well. And once you apply for this assessment, then your basically job ready program starts. From step 2, it does take a couple of months for us to kind of move to the next step, because of course we gotta complete our ongoing hours. For the whole duration of job ready program, it will roughly take you about 12 months to complete, and there will be around 1,725 hours that you will have to complete. Once you have completed at least half, or if not a bit more of it, you will also have to do an assessment. Now, assessment is a very important part because the more experience you have, the easier it's going to be for you to pass that assessment. A lot of people get worried, but normally, look, for me, if you're generally working, if you have been working for a while, look, of course, it's understandable that if you only started working 6 months ago, you may not have that particular skill which someone may have who has been working for 3 years. So assessments shouldn't be taken in a bit of a, you shouldn't worry about it too much, because of course this is the job ready part is of course the area where you're learning, you're developing your skills. So once you've finished your second step, you do your assessment. With the assessment, once you have completed it, then you move on, complete rest of your pay slips, rest of your hours, and then you apply for the last step, which is the job ready outcome. So once you have completed those steps, you get your skill assessment done, basically a job ready done. And once you have done that, you can apply for your 189 visa, 190 and a 491 visa, depending on where you're living, what state you're living in, and then whether or not you're meeting the state requirement or not. So that is one aspect of the skill assessment. I will also touch base on whether you should start employment when you are studying itself. So whether or not that will be used or not. So there's other part of it as well, where someone may have already be working for over 3 years or over 5 years already on a particular occupation. So for example, a painter or a carpenter, someone may have already been studying for 3 years, working for 3 years, and they're now finishing their study as well. You can also apply for other pathways, which is through VET assess or TRA, through a OSAP or a MSA program. So this is about if you have formal training and 3 years of work experience, depending on your occupation, you would be getting a skill assessment for 3 years. After your 3 years of experience, you'll get a skill assessment. If you may not have a qualification but have been working for 5 years, then that would also give you an assessment as well. Other opportunity would be that, remember that 485 is only for 1.5 years. So there may be employer sponsorship options available for you, which is 482, where you are working during your 485, but some of your experience during your study may also be contributed to the 482 2-year requirement. So remember that 482 visa requires you 2 years of experience for you to be eligible for it, to meet the criteria for the employment part. We'll of course go a bit more detail later on, but let's go back to Ananya. Okay, so we've done carpentry, we've done painting. Let's go somewhere out, tell me something else. Maybe someone else doesn't want to do carpentry or doesn't want to do painting. So what other option that might be available
Yeah, so
for
there's
them?
one course which is very popular these days, which is engineering fabrication. So it is a very good course, which I personally feel like, and it's basically Cert 3 in engineering fabrication trade, or it can be a package course with Cert 3, Cert 4, and Diploma of Engineering. So it's also around 2 years, and same as carpentry and other trade courses. It's 2 days of class, including practical and theory. And the fees range is around $20,000 to $24,000. Also colleges all over Australia, and intakes mostly every month. So we would love to know about the skill assessment part and the job requirements.
Yeah, so thanks. So again, same scenario applies for the job ready program, but the occupations which may come under from this would be a pressure welder or a welder or metal fabricator. So this course would lead you to that pathway. For me personally, what I feel like is this is one of one of these occupations which are highly in demand in Australia, given that how the technology has been advancing in Australia for past 10-20 years, and even looking at another 5 to 10-20 years. So this is one of those occupations which are highly in demand. We have seen last year where some states have offered 190s with 3 months of experience from this particular occupation. So it's one of the good occupations out there. I would if you guys want generally interested in it, or maybe you have already have experience maybe overseas, and now you want to continue this course here, I would recommend that, okay, this is something that you can do. Again, let's talk about the other part where I said that you may have overseas experience. You can use your overseas experience to get a positive skill assessment from here as well. Now, of course, again, as I said, employment is a very important aspect. You should try to find employment as soon as possible when you've started studying, or even before you started studying, or even after. So I would always say that you should you should start finding employment as soon as possible, given that it gives you more sort of area or more sort of time for you to plan out your next visa options in Australia. Other thing I would say is with this particular fabrication trade or any other trade occupations, the skill assessment, job ready program, remember that job ready program can only be done once. Once you finish your study, you get your post qualification 1 year of experience. You should continue to keep that experience for you to be eligible for other visa options. So let's talk about 482 visa, which is a temporary visa given to you for 4 years for you to be able to meet that skill shortage in Australia. You would normally require 2 years of experience. There's also a subclass 186, which is an employer sponsorship permanent visa. This is where you would require 3 years of post-qualification experience. So if you have done certificate 3, your experience would start generally once you have finished your certificate 3. The important factor is that once you finish your job ready program, if you're not working and your job ready program has lapsed, the duration has lapsed, and for you to get another skill assessment, it will be very hard for you to get a positive assessment again, unless and until you have already been working during your duration. So if you don't have the 3 years of experience, if you've studied in Australia, once you have completed the course and everything, and your job ready program assessment is not valid anymore, and you do have experience, then you can follow the OSAP or the migration skill assessment program to get that assessment done. But if you don't have experience, then you will not be able to apply for any general skilled migration visas or for 186 visa as well. So it's very important. We can go back to the same thing again. Employment is very important. Whether you are currently studying or whether you finish your study, you need to maintain that for you to be eligible. Of course, a lot of states have their requirements that okay, you must be working, must be working in closely related occupation or skill level 1 to 3 occupation, for example, for a Victorian occupation requirements. But yeah, it's very important. And just so that I'm talking about it again, I recommend you guys to look at a banner. There is a Aussizz, I believe, somewhere around here. You can look that on your app store. You can check all these particular occupations. You can type in carpenter, welder. It will give you the skill level. It will give you the duties and responsibilities that you would require, and all useful information which would prepare you when you're choosing an occupation. Okay, what exactly is my future pathway, right? If I want to study carpentry, what exactly I'm doing when I'm doing job ready program, right? We have a lot of people sometimes, who have done XYZ course and then they're absolutely hating it.
That's right.
I'm sure you get that a lot.
Right.
This is where it's very important that you should research these sort of things yourself. And Aussizz have these sort of products or sort of resources, I would say, that you can use. And of course, you can always contact us about these sort of questions that, okay, look, I'm planning to study this. What do you think my next 2 to 3 years would look like? So of course, we can help you to kind of have a clear area of understanding that, okay, if you're studying this course, this is what you need to prepare for, and this is what your 2 to 3 years looks like, and then we can go from there, right? So, okay, and then, okay, tell me, okay, let's give me something else. Let's say that someone might not be interested in these. What else do you think we can?
So let's talk about everybody's favorite. Let's talk about commercial cookery. So that's also a trade course which we can do in 2 years. So basically Cert 3 in commercial cookery, Cert 4 in kitchen management, and a diploma of hospitality. Or at some colleges they're also doing Cert 3 and Cert 4 only, which would qualify for the TR as well. And it is also ranging around $17,000 to $21,000 in regards to fees, quite affordable. And like a lot of people, they are not just doing it for the PR, but for a career pathway as well, because they love cooking. And yeah, the classes are 2 days a week, and both practical and theory. The colleges are everywhere in Australia, and you can choose wherever you want to do it. Even in regional areas, you can do this course.
Yeah, that's good to hear. For me personally, I would like to study this course just so that I can start cooking myself more often. Not that I'm not that good at it, but I would like to try more options. But yes, this is very one of those popular courses. Remember that Australia is one of those countries which encourages a lot of tourism, a lot of hospitality. So, even during, let's say, regional areas, you will see very nice restaurants where people like to visit over the weekends or during holidays. So, I would say, of course, commercial cookery, leads to whether cook or chef. Similar PR pathways for them. If you've studied this course, you would apply for 485. You would go on employer sponsorships, or whether you will go on general skilled migration visas. Now, depending on where you're at, you can also apply for provisional assessment after you've completed your certificate 4, or you can also do it once you've finished your diploma as well. There's heaps of opportunities where there's different cuisines you can work at. I feel like this is such a vast area where you can really explore your cooking sort of inner master chef, I would say, right? I would personally like to do that, but yeah, it's one of those occupations where it will be in demand throughout journey, because of course Australia offers a lot of tourism to everyone, and everywhere you go, one thing you want is a nice big big brunch, or a nice dinner out. So highly recommend if you have that passion or commitment towards commercial cookery. just to kind of give you brief information, their job ready programs or the OSAP or the migration assessment would still follow the same pathway. 189, 190, 491 still be there. Lot of occupation, a lot of this particular area people get to apply for 190s, subclass 190 if they have enough points. And a lot of people have generally been working for so long where the employers are also sponsoring them for their PR pathway as well. So for just to kind of elaborate more on the last bit, which I would say for 186. So for 186, normally you would require a 3 years of post qualification experience. Apart from that, you would also need your job ready program. Once you either you do a job ready program or you have your migration assessment or your offshore skill assessment. That is also one of the key requirement, and your PTE score would be required, and that's about it. If you've been working generally as a chef, then these are the right or the correct pathways for you. Apart from that, let's say that if I have to say, just to kind of give you in a nutshell, most of these occupations come under medium to long term list, which we have talked about today. Of course, there's other occupations out there which maybe you're interested in, or maybe we have not covered it. On brief of my head, I can think of a baker or a pastry cook. These occupations depends on when you're starting this course, what is the duration, what is the cost structure. You can always contact our experienced education consultants. They'll be more than happy to help you. If you require information about what would be the 190 pathway, what would be the 491 pathway, we can always help you with it as well, just to kind of have a clear idea what your next 3 to 4 years look like. When you're choosing a course, the most important thing is, okay, what does the experience part looks like? Can I get a job in this or not, right? That's one of the first thing that I say. If you have passion for, let's say, cookery, right?
Then you should do it.
Yeah, then you you have that in you that, okay, I want to study this course because I see myself working as a chef for next 5 years. You may be your friends or someone in your family may be working as a painter or maybe working as a carpenter, and you see them enjoying that work, and maybe this is something that you want to do as well. So that is also a step that you can take, where that job opportunity, what are the job opportunities, whether you see yourself working for next to, let's say, 3 to 5 years or 5 to 10 years depending on your career. I would say when you're investing a lot of time, a lot of money in this, you need to make sure that all the pathway goes the same. Of course, the migration part is one aspect of it, but you also need to look at your career aspect of it as well. If you want to invest into something, you should keep that as a very important factor, that if you've studied, for example, welding, and you don't think, like you've studied fabrication and you don't think maybe you will be able to get a job. Yeah, or maybe you don't like the job, right? You've tried you went for 3 months or 6 months. It's not something that you can do. This is something that you need to, I would say, find out as soon as possible. Yeah, exactly. So before you start, you need to have that an idea that, okay, this is what it is and this is what it looks like. Of course, as I said, I'm going to go back to again, you would see our resources available down. Highly recommend you to check out our PTE if you want to gain those extra 10 points, just to kind of beat other people. A lot of people are at 7 each, so you should take all the resources which are available to meet that 8 each, so you can get a PR quicker than them. Of course, you can check out our NATI CCL tutorials as well, and you can check out Aussizz, and if you require some health insurance offices, whether you're applying for 485 visa or XYZ visa. We have those resources available for you. Sometimes you get overwhelmed. Okay, what is this provider providing? What's the policy for this one? What's this one? How much is this one? So we have that resource where you can check out, okay, this is the policy I want from this duration to this duration, and it will have all the other products or all the different policies which are available for you. So that's about it. We will take some questions if they are, and then we can go from there. Okay, so we've got Shan asking, is doing cookery good for PR pathway in future? Shan, thank you for your message. I would recommend yes. Doing a cookery, as I said just now, it's one of those areas where Australia will be in tourism throughout the duration. Yes, you may feel that, okay, maybe for now, maybe this is something that you don't see it going. But I would say personally, yes, cook, chef, even during COVID period when a lot of states or a lot of areas where they were only targeting certain occupations or certain sectors, cook chefs were one of them. So I would say that if you have employment, if you're planning to study this, make sure that you get an idea of what your employment looks like. Start your employment and build your PR pathway from there, whether it will be a general skill migration or whether it will be an employer sponsorship pathway. This is something that you can tackle. I would say it's a good pathway for you as well. Next question is Mandeep. When can we start job for getting experience for 491 while doing cookery? Okay, Mandeep, good question. I would say employment aspect, you've asked for 491, so I'll only talk about 491. When you are studying a course, let's say you've done a certificate 3 or let's say certificate 4. Certificate 3 would lead you to an occupation which would be a cook. Now, cook can apply for a 190 and also a 491. So once you have completed your certificate 3, you can start building that experience towards your points. Or let's say that you finish your certificate 4. Once you have completed certificate 4, you would also start gaining that experience as well. In terms of your the actual experience, remember that you need to do job ready program. So job ready program will generally start once you have finished your provisional assessment, the first one where you're getting your qualification assessed. The main agenda behind that provisional assessment is just to kind of tell the TRA that, okay, you have fulfilled the right qualification for the right occupation, right? A certificate 4 would lead you to a chef. So once you've completed that, you start your job ready program. Once you're starting your job ready program, that experience can be used for your 491 purposes. Now, other thing that I can tell you about is a lot of people say, where do I do my job ready program, right? It's a valid question because this is where states may have certain experience requirements for you to be eligible for their 491 visa. So this is where you can, let's say, hit two birds with one stone. Right? You can do a job ready program in a particular area, particular state, which may require 6 months of experience or maybe 12 months of experience. So while doing your job ready program in that state, you would not only meet the job ready requirement, you would also meet their 491 or 190 requirement. So it's a really good question. Thank you for asking. If you require a bit more help in terms of choosing the right area or the right state, highly recommend you to leave us a message. We can give a more detailed sort of a consultation. Next question is, how much for English tests, PT for students? Ananya, I'll ask you that. So how much for a normal person, let's say they want to study a course, what are the English requirements for them?
So it should be 5.5s with no bands less than 5 in IELTS or equivalent.
Okay. And for your 485 visa pathway, if say 6 overall, 5 each for you to apply for 485, and for you to be eligible for general skilled migration, it will be minimum 6 each, right? So this is where that PT aspect comes in. Make sure you tick on it so you can get that 8 each, right? Get that advantage.
Extra points.
Yes. Mandeep, is it Mandeep? Yep. So what is the maximum age to apply for PR if you get sponsorship from employer? Mandeep, so for permanent residency, you are referring to 186 visa. So 186, the maximum age you can apply is 45 years of age. Okay. If you get experience before completion certificate 3, this experience will count in the skill assessment. Mandeep, this may or may not. Remember, I talked about 2 or 3 different skill assessment programs. One is a job ready, one is a migration skill assessment, and one is a offshore skill assessment. So if just to kind of answer that in a nutshell, for job ready program, probably not. Reason for that is when you're applying for your provisional assessment, that may take 2 to 3 months. You need your course, you need your study to have completed. Once you have completed that, you apply for your second step, which is the job ready employment. When you're applying that, you can claim up to 3 months prior of employment for your experience, right? So it depends on circumstances. So still getting that additional experience will not harm you. It may lead you to other visa options in future. So you should get that as soon as possible. What's the chance of PR in chef as I got a skill assessment after my study? Really depends on where you are at in the state, how many points you have. Recommend you to kind of get in touch with me. I can give you a bit of a more detailed answer for that one. But if you have the right points, you're working in your occupation, I don't see why you wouldn't get a successful pathway that you're asking. PR pathway about automotive after certificate 4. Thank you, Malik, asking for this. So very similar sort of a PR pathway in terms of a normal pathway that you would go for. Once you have completed your certificate 4, you can also choose to do a diploma. If you are studying during that time, you can apply for your 485 visa, start your job ready program, which again I would mention, if you guys have missed the initial part, we would do a provisional skill assessment, we would do a job ready employment, your job ready assessment, and a job ready outcome. Roughly it will take you about year to complete. And then when you're choosing this job ready program area, as I mentioned in my previous question, you can really choose where you want to study, where you want to do this job ready program, because you may be meeting the state requirement at the same time and also the job ready requirement at the same time as well. I have seen a lot of people when they're finishing their job ready program, they have the relevant PT score and they have already fulfilled the state requirement for their experience as well. So as soon as we get the outcome, we apply for their respective visas, 190 or 491, and we get the positive outcome for them. So it's really important for you to kind of gain that understanding of where you can study. It will not everything is applicable same for all the states, for all the occupations. So this is where that having that level of understanding about that particular occupation, 3 to 5 years, what's the pathway, that will kind of help you choosing the right study, right course, right state to do your job ready program. But Malik, overall good pathway for this, I would say. Yeah, you can start claiming employment after certificate 4, if that's what you're asking. TRA average processing time has become 15 months. Is this pathway almost dead? TRA, I'm not sure which area you're asking, whether you're asking about job ready program or MSA or OSAP. To be honest with you, it's not particularly that it's almost dead. If it's about to close, or if there is any sort of a area where they want to close the outcome, they will let us know. So it's something that I'm not here of, don't know about. VetAssess, who is also an assessing authority for the trade occupations, they did outline that they will not accept some occupations, mainly because of their being overwhelmed with a lot of experience, a lot of applications. You can also choose to apply through different RTOs as well, given that you have a lot of experience. So would recommend you to keep working throughout the duration, because regardless if the assessment authorities are taking time, regardless if you fulfill the requirement whichever required you to get that assessment, the rest of the experience will only benefit you. It will not really have any sort of a problem or any sort of a negative thing on your application. So once you've completed your course or completed your experience, you should continue to meet the state requirements and go from there. That's all from us, guys. Thank you, Ananya. Thank you so much for joining us. I would say if you have missed anyone, just give us a message, call us. Our details are down below. We will be more than happy to help you. And before we go, I want to announce that we are also opening another branch in Geelong. So if you're living in somewhere in regional in the Geelong area, as much as I would like you to see me face to face, because I'm in the city in our Elizabeth branch, Ananya with us also in Elizabeth branch, we have also these resources close to you. So we are opening very soon in Geelong. So if you have any questions about your migration matters, you can always go to whichever the branch closest to you. Again, Geelong branch is opening, so less time traveling for you, better opportunities coming for you guys. All right, that's all from us. Thank you guys. Thank you for joining, and we will see you next time.